right, well, you know what that means. It is 6 p.m. here at Radio Free Brooklyn, which means that you are about to start listening to Sitting with Gianluca. I am Gianluca. I will be sitting with you till 7 p.m. And sitting with me is Dylan White. So this next hour is going to be mostly English music of the indie stripe, correct, Dylan?
Yeah, British invasion.
British
coming
invasion.
to New York City.
New York City, sort of
right
like
now.
the quite new young acts. So anyway, Dylan is a publicist, a record plugger, a label owner, and a veteran, really, of the music behind the scenes, right,
I have
Dylan?
been doing this quite a while now, yeah.
It's So when you first started doing this. Well, first of all, tell us, it's about 30 years, right, that you've been being...
It is getting for that now, yeah.
So what is then a publicist and what is a record plugger?
Okay, so to introduce myself to the listeners, I started out in life wanting to be a rock star and wrote songs and played guitar and played in bands in London. But a bit like you got to get on the pitch when you're young.
Yeah.
Like I say, it was sport. And then I failed to impress record companies. This is, of course, in the 80s. And didn't get signed and didn't make any money as being a musician.
Right.
So then you sort of drift into other parts of the music world. And I got involved in managing a young band. I thought, right, if I can't be a star, I'll manage someone. So through that, and in fact releasing 2 records that I paid for them, I discovered there was a DJ called Gary Crowley.
Yes.
Very famous in London, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was playing them.
Fantastic DJ,
yeah,
I'd have to
he was
say.
still going strong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he started, we're talking 1989, 88, 89.
All right.
He started playing this band on his BBC London show. And I said, how do I get more plays from DJs? He went, you need a plugger. I went, what the hell's that? And he introduced me to a guy called Gary Blackburn, who was an established plugger. He gave me some names. So I went to see these pluggers, see this guy called Gary, and I actually paid him to plug my records. Now, he took pity on me that I wasn't Universal or was Sony then or whatever, coming in with a big budget and charged me a few pounds to try to get this record somewhere. And gradually he took a liking to me and said, you should ditch the band and just do promotion. You're good at it.
Ah.
So in 1991, I started, and it was in January. And he was already, like all these things, you need that lucky break in life, right? And he was doing The Farm and The Lars and The Beautiful South.
All right.
So I started taking those records into radio. And he was doing TV as well, and we had a TV girl called Karen Williams, and we were a trio. And you'd spend your day doing that. So I honed in on the almighty powerful BBC Radio 1 to get records played. And you have to very politely approach people, play them a record in a very small room like this on a pretty tinny record player, back the CDs, right? It was CDs, right? And they say, well, that's like listening to it on the radio, and they tell you if they think it's good or total rubbish.
Oh, so you're with the program director?
You practice the program, yeah. And you'd have to learn very quickly. You realise the competitiveness. It's the same on any big radio station, in any big city in America, anywherever, right? In a national, whatever. There's an almighty amount of people trying to get their music played.
Yes.
And that has got worse since the days of doing it yourself and just sending over an MP3 or a WAV file, where you don't even need to make CDs anymore.
Right.
So there's these DJs and people are bombarded. So you've got a 10-minute slot, and there's someone gone before you. There's a queue outside of people that are all in line for a scheduled appointment to see a producer. Very, very military, very organised, very structured, and you get a slot like every 2 weeks or something.
Right.
And you would then have to put this record on. And I learned very quickly to don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Oh, yes.
Don't have long intros, rambling verses. I became, as time went on, I'll tell you about it a bit later on, I really learned how to do radio edits. And you've got to get to the point sharpish.
Yes.
And your record has to be, the radio station is their train set. So your record has to fit their tracks.
So actually, you're sitting with a middle-aged bloke who's seen 10 people before you.
Not necessarily middle-aged. No.
Oh no, it could be. Whatever. I was.
No, in their 20s, 30s. Okay. They're not necessarally.
But you could be the 10th person through the
you
door.
Would be,
don't bore us.
And they will already have a pile of CDs.
Yeah.
Talking the 90s, right? It's all CDs, right?
Yeah.
A massive pile of CDs, right?
Ah.
And also, this is before email, right? And then after all of this, there'd be everyone knew when the playlist meetings were. They were at a certain time on a certain day of the week, right? You had to call all these producers to remind them of the record that you'd played them, right? To make sure they took it into the meeting. So it was frantic phone calling, right? It was a real military targeted.
Yeah.
And you call them up, and you might leave a voicemail, or you might think, no, I want to get them. And you do these calls. They all had to be done by midday or whatever it was, right? And then, whatever the time was designed, the playlists would be issued. And those are two ways of doing it. At BBC Radio 1, a secretary would walk down the stairs with photocopied sheets, and we'd all just grab them. And we all had mobile phones. We were kind of like one of the first sort of sets of people to really get mobile technology.
Right.
I had a mobile phone in like 1988. So it had this phone, and then you would ring the record labels and say it's moved up to the playlist, it's been added or whatever. And it's literally like scoring a goal in a big football match. Like you had delivered. You had put the ball in the net, or you failed.
Right.
Or you failed.
Oh, God.
Right? So it's not gone on.
Wow.
And it was a serious amount of pressure. A lot of money resting on these things. And it's nerve-wracking stuff. It's literally like taking penalties all the time and scoring a goal. And then
there's nothing more rock and roll than waiting by a fax machine, is there, Dylan?
Yeah, but this is where it's very different. Musicians can get up whatever time they want, do whatever they want, and basically get on stage at 9 p.m., right? Whatever, right? As long as they get that bit right, they're all right, right? They can be late for interviews and do what they want. But behind every successful artist, there is a military team of management, booking agent, press agent, plugger, right? And if there's a weak link in that team, that weak link will eventually be exposed.
Yeah.
And would be the downfall or be the bit that didn't quite go as well as it should have done for that particular artist because of that weak link.
Hey, let's play that first band that you managed and did the record of. Do we have a file of that?
I can play you that because in subsequent years, right, I've released them on my own label, and it's all up there on the world of iTunes, Spotify, and we did CD with a whole special limited edition, everything, right? They were called Well Loaded.
And did they get anywhere?
In London,
individually?
In London, there was a club called the Marquee.
I remember the Marquee.
And they could sell the big Marquee on Charing Cross Road.
Oh, I remember that
They
too,
could sell that out.
Oh,
they could sell that out.
That was a big room.
Yeah, they could sell that out, and we pressed up 1,000 of these 2 singles, right, of which they kind of sold. You know, I've got like a box left, right? But they couldn't, you needed the deal to go further, right? Yeah. And we can play a track. It was what was kind of considered their best single. It was called Make It Mine.
All right.
So, you can play that, yeah.
That's right.
And it's available now in the modern world.
Oh, there you go.
But they then, subsequently, we're all still friends, and they still play a bit, but not as much, and they've got no illusions of kind of getting anywhere. Really.
All right, well, introduce it.
This is Well Loaded, Make It Mine.
There you go.
Shoot me down, I'm gonna duck it down and jump
right, well, that was well-loaded Make It Mine here on Sitting with Gianluca. And well, the band is well-loaded, but sitting with me is the former manager of...
Still am the manager, label owner. I own the rights.
Oh, right, but that...
Well, fundamentally, whoever spends the money owns it.
Right.
In this case, it's me.
Oh, so you're well loaded then, Dylan.
No, I'm not, because they didn't make it, did they? Because they didn't sell more than about 200. Well, we sold out of the records that we had, but didn't make any money. So I'm not well loaded through well loaded. But you live in hope, because it only needs one sync.
It only
needs some guy somewhere in Hollywood
to put it on
to
a car
go,
commercial,
I need a nice rock track like that that would fit in this big Hollywood blockbuster bit, and ping. It's just like you never give up. You never give it. It ain't over until the fat lady sings.
You're just trying to get out of buying me a drink, I know.
Yeah.
But if you so if you re-release this, you're going to have to re-release this as would have been well loaded.
Well, it is, mate. It is. It's a modern world, mate. It is all released.
World,
It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify.
Yeah. Someone that you represented for a while. Had an interesting story. I'm talking about Billy Bragg. That you.
Billy.
You were with him for a
long time.
Long time. Oh, that much of a long time.
But for 15, 20 years.
Oh,
when he changed label and changed people and that,
Yeah, but there's that story of how he got his record on John Peel. Do you know that?
Yeah, I do know that story.
You must know that story. Yeah.
So Radio 1 then, John Peel. Right, it's very hard to do. I've done some radio, and various people talk about radio. Where did you first hear a record? It always is 9 times out of 10. It'd be, I heard it on John Peel. I heard it on John Peel. Heard it on John Peel.
That would have been me too. Yeah,
I heard it on John Peel. I mean, hail John Peel. All roads lead to John Peel. Right, in all that period. Right, in fact, till his passing, because he was still there.
Yeah,
he was still there. All roads lead to John Peel. Right, so Billy Bragg was sitting in a flat not that far from the BBC. And John Peel happened to say, I really fancy a mushroom biryani. And Braggy, again, being a bit of a chancer, went, hang on a minute, I'll get you one. Shot round to some Indian takeaway, as a mushroom biryani, please. Got it, and then drove, or whatever, round to the BBC, put his vinyl record in with this mushroom biryani, went, this is for John Peel. He's just said on air half an hour ago he wants a mushroom biryani. He went up the stairs, right, and John Peel couldn't believe it, and he put the record on. And that was New England.
Oh, all right. Well, this is a good time to play it then. Billy Bragg off...
I was 21 years since I wrote that song. I'm 22 now, but it won't be for long.
Yeah, off Spy v Spy.
Both of us are now 62.
I was 21 years when I wrote this song. I'm 22 now, but I won't be for long. People ask me, when will you grow up to be a man? But all the girls I loved at school are already pushing prams. I loved you then as I love you still. Though I put you on a pedestal, they put you on the pill. I don't feel bad about letting you go. I just feel sad about letting you know. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I love the words you wrote to me, but that was bloody yesterday. I can't survive on what you send every time you need a friend. I saw 2 shooting stars last night. I wished on them, but they were only satellites. It's wrong to wish on space hardware. I wish you cared. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. I don't want to change the world. I'm not looking for a New England. I'm just looking for another girl. Looking for another girl. Looking for another girl. Looking for another girl.
how I originally met you. Well, I'll tell you how I originally met you. Or you?
No, you do your side, and I'll do my side.
Oh, you do your side. All right. So this was in New York City, where I currently reside, and I had been up all night doing some things that I can't mention on the radio, and I was walking home through Tompkins Square Park, having a nice, colourful experience one afternoon.
Oh,
and
really?
yes, that was what was happening, and I thought, oh, everything's nice, and I saw this quartet of nice young English lads playing acoustic guitars and being photographed, and they were really, really good. And then they started playing the Eagles, who was the Antichrist, and I started heckling them really, really, and I heckled and the Eagles, and I started effing and blinding. You were very, very cool, actually. I didn't know who you were. He came up to me, he went, "Oh, the Eagles, right? Yeah, not good." And you're all very nice. I came to your show, actually, is how this all started.
That was I've forgotten the Eagles bit, actually, but I remember
that obnoxious bloke heckling.
I forgot that bit.
Your boys.
Yeah, well, we'd been at CMJ.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, we did. Well, the band are called Pint Shot Riot.
Yeah, we'll play something.
PSR,
yeah, okay.
Pint Shot Riot.
Friends close, keep your enemies closer. Well, I'm sat here and I'm 2 years older. Turn it around, you turn real fast. With your hands in the air, you know this ain't gonna last. I can't stand you, don't you know that things will always come back to bite you.
But again, big problem, we couldn't get a major label to license the album from us to promote us at a higher level. So we were stuck stuck where we were. Anyway, on that particular Sunday, we had a friend, thankfully, that was a professional photographer. And we'd gone down St Mark's Place to do photographs.
Right.
Where the Stones sat to do "Waiting on a Friend" video.
That's right, yeah.
We know. I know my stuff, right? I know me rock and roll. So it's a bit like you look it all up, right? It's also the cover of Led Zeppelin's "Physical Graffiti."
Yes.
1 block along.
Yep.
1 block along is "Physical Graffiti,"
yep.
And then there's a doorway where the Stones sat, where Mick and Keith sat,
right? Yep.
And to do "Waiting on a Friend" video, and Jerry Hall walks past. Right? So
That's
we
right.
sat there, and they had acoustics. Then we end up in Tompkins Square Park, right? Which none of us knew where it was or what it was. We end up in there, and voila, you turn up.
Yeah.
And you're suitably impressed that you invite them onto your show.
I did.
And they did it.
They did it.
The following Saturday. I've still got a recording of it.
Oh, good. I'm going to play the intro of that right now because it's my favourite intro of all intros.
Yeah. It's good that you're here, really, because I know absolutely nothing about you whatsoever. So I guess I should start off by asking, like, who the are you? And what are you doing in my flat?
I was hoping you could tell us.
Yeah.
Or at least give us a clue.
Yeah, I have no clue.
We're a 4-piece band from
Coventry band, Pint Shot Riot. And if you've just tuned in, by the way, you are listening to Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn and Resonance FM 104.4 on your radio dial. Sitting with me is publicist, record plugger, manager, record label owner, veteran of the music industry, Dylan White. And if you like this, you know we are here at Radio Free Brooklyn, our Radio Free broke line. We got no money whatsoever. So if you have jingly jangly in your pocket or anything shrapnel-like, drop it in the hat. Nothing is too small. Nothing is too big. We have also, we have a Drive to 5 on the RadioFreeBrooklyn.com website. There's donate buttons all over the place. We're also having a Drive to 5 campaign where we have, for a certain donation, really cool T-shirts by really cool artists, including one that my guest, Dylan White, knows well, I am sure, Cosmo Vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So Cosmo, who was the road manager or manager of the Clash.
He was never the manager.
No, he was road manager.
He was Bernie Rose was the manager. Johnny Green was the road manager. Cosmo was the publicist.
He was the
he was a publicist.
He was their Dylan White then. He was a
he was the character. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was a publicist.
Yeah, he currently lives in New York and is a artist.
He is, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We just heard Pint Shot Riot sitting with Gianluca, and sitting with me is Dylan White, who that was your second time in management, right? So what drew you to them? Like,
that's exactly what happened. At the time, I was looking to manage people. I was. Right? It's a known path from plugger, press agent to management, if you can manage the right band, right? So I was looking. So I went to see them in Coventry, and they did this gig that was rammed, right, in this club, and there was people flying through there, young kids everywhere. I thought, she's going to go off.
Oh, nice.
So then started a journey. But to manage an artist, you've got to fall in love with them.
Oh, right.
To be a publicist, you can do a job. Right?
Yes.
You can work it. You can do it exactly, go through everything, because you're close to a point, but you're not really in bed with them.
Right.
To manage an artist, you've got to be morning, noon and night thinking about that artist. It's a love affair.
Oh, yeah, it is a love affair. Yeah.
So that began. And through that, I got my publishing deal with EA Games. Right. So we ended up on loads of computer games. The world of MySpace and all that internet started happening. So there's tracks flying out everywhere, not getting any money, just out there, right, as it goes along. And then we released an album, was the publisher paid for all the recording, couldn't be better. But again, I couldn't get a major label to fund it. So we funded it, and we funded the release of making the CDs. And it was still digital then as well. So we only made a certain amount of CDs. It wasn't like we had to make thousands. So we made some, and they gradually sold, and the rest of it was done in the wonderful world of online. But what's happened recently, right, they got to a certain point where we'd done that, but then we ran out of steam. We got a lot of radio play, but never quite enough to produce the big hit. So it ran its course. It's like a steam train or a car that runs out of juice.
The heart is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck.
What does working with U2 entail? Like
promotion.
Yeah, no.
Same thing.
Oh, is it promoting a
It's
U2 the same as promoting Billy Bragg?
And you put the obvious line is, well, they don't need promoting. Everyone just plays them. So no, they don't. You have to work out the singles. You've got a choice of singles. You've got to pick the right single.
Oh.
You've then got to establish whether it needs editing or not. And everybody then wants to interview you too.
Oh.
So you have to work out a programme of interviews with BBC Radio 1, BBC Radio 2, Capital Radio, Absolute Radio, Radio X,
Yes.
etc. So that everyone feels part of it. So a young band, new band, there's two problems in life. One is making it in the first place. The second problem is maintaining that. Right, and very few last. Right, a lot of bands shine brightly for one album. Second album, it all goes horribly wrong, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So to keep going, so on a major act, you still got to get the right single to fit that train track of that particular station. And what might suit one station may not suit another. So what my part in U2's history is I kept them on Radio 1 for 3 albums. And I introduced them to CD UK and put them back on top of the pops. I kept them young.
And did you do that by radio edits?
I did that by picking the right singles in the first place and telling older radio stations that they can't have them yet and making sure that younger radio stations did want them. And we did radio. Fundamentally, we made sure that Radio 1 were all over U2. And it could have been, I started on, the song I started with was Beautiful Day. There was a perception that they were now old and therefore should be on older radio. And Paul McGuinness said, we don't want
manager.
that.
The manager, Paul McGuinness.
Yeah, Paul McGuinness, the manager, said, that's not what the band want. They want, you've got to keep them young. Well, all right, boss, I'll keep them young. So that's what happened. Now, radio edits are crucial, right? Now, needless to say, U2 are very protective about their music. And I was the only person allowed to do their edits. And I would go into a small studio. I'm not the engineer, so an engineer would technically do it.
Yeah.
And I would but do the guidance of, this is what we should do. We should cut this solo in half, or we should do this and do that. And then it would be sent back to Edge, and Edge would basically then copy it and do it himself so that he was satisfied with how the edits were actually played smoothly. So, but, right, this is a very important point. U2, the band themselves, right, led by the singer, Bono would say to me, whatever you need to get us on Radio 1 is what you'll have.
Oh, fantastic.
Whatever you need to keep us young,
yeah,
you'll have. I'm not precious about the length of the tracks or anything else.
Oh, so New Day is your edit then?
So what's played on the radio is then my edit. It's just that. All sorts of tracks were sped up, re-EQ'd.
Oh, for radio, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of tricks, But what's tricks? Yeah. You're just making it sound to fit their train tracks.
Sure.
So, but I assure you, virtually every record you hear on the radio, on a top 40 station,
in
major
the UK
station,
at least, yeah,
would be edited. In some way, it's either a shorter intro, a faster fade, or a chunk in the middle's cut out.
Oh yeah,
or something.
Before us get to the chorus.
There was. I'll assure you that. I mean, not on late night radio, not on dance shows, not on alternative, but in that breakfast show, daytime, on any radio station, right? If a track is felt to be a bit long, a bit slow, or whatever, it's tweaked. I'll tell you a famous edit I've done. Okay. Elton John's Are You Ready for Love?
Oh, really?
Catch a star if you can. Wish for something special.
Right? It absolutely flopped in about 1979. It was about 4.5, 5 minutes long. Fatboy Slim picked up on it and started playing it. And somehow his manager got a license to release it as Fatboy Slim, not as a standard, as a reissue it on Fatboy Slim's label, not as on Elton John's label. But he needed an edit. And I spent quite a while editing it, trying to cut it down. I did about 6 versions. And eventually, and what you do the edit, you come out the studio because you've heard the song about 20 times. You play it in the car, and then you go, no, it's still not right. I've got to go back again.
Yeah.
And you go back in, making a note of which bit you want to change the middle A, you want to do that. And the track came out with the #1 smash. The label were very kind to me in the CD version, right? Got all the credits. It's got edited by Dylan White. Big letters.
Are you ready?
Hey, you're listening to Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn, and recorded at Resonance FM studios in London. Yay! And thank you to Resonance FM. And sitting with me is Dylan White, who edited that Elton John. Because we were talking about Tompkins Square Park before, with Pint Shot Riot, which is how I met you and the lads. Yeah. There is actually on the south side of Tompkins Square Park. Well, first of all, it's a two-pronged coincidence, because we talked about Cosmo Vinyl, the work with The Clash, and we also at Tompkins Square Park, where I saw your lads Pint Shot Riot and met you for the first time. On the south side of that, there's a big mural of Joe Strummer saying the future is yet unwritten. And you work with Joe quite a lot.
That
right?
really, that's a whole that I know. I'm aware that the future is unwritten mural is in Tompkins Square Park.
Yeah.
Wow, bloody hell, amazing! I didn't know that.
What? So how long have you worked with him?
Right. Well,
when he was with the Mescaleras post-Clash, you worked with him, right?
I worked with him in the '90s, late '90s, 2000, when he was Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros.
Yes.
Right. So obviously, I'm of a certain age to have been a massive Clash fan. I saw the Clash quite a few times. Right. First time being 1978 at Rock Against Racism in Victoria Park.
Right.
In East London, when it was Tom Robinson, the Ruts, various other people, and the Clash.
And the Clash, you had the gig that changed Billy Bragg's life, and possibly yours too.
Possibly yours too. We all got there. I did. Yeah. So I'm part of that set of kids. Yeah. Right?
Legendary gig, by the way. Yeah.
So then the Mescaleros, he gets his new band. He comes back to think, I'm going to have another go. And I promoted Josh on the Mescaleros. So obviously I'm in awe of him. And he was suspicious of me. He's been around the block a few times. He's like record company white boy, giving me all this chat. So he was pretty suspicious. Right? But I got him on a very important TV show called Later with Jules Holland.
Ah, yes.
And it's a long story about getting him on there, right? But I got him on there, and he was suitably impressed.
Oh.
That I'd pulled this off for him, and he was on there. And then he kind of thought, he's all right. So then he became a lot easier, and we go to dinner a lot and spend time together. And I got him more radio and more stuff. I did 3 albums. And the last album came out posthumously because he left us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a film made by a guy called Dick Rude called Let's Rock Again. And it's the film of his last tour. Right? And you've got to watch this. It's so endearing. He is basically going around in America hustling to get people to come to gigs. He's knocking on doors of radio stations to get people like you to play his record. He's no big time limo, big time I am from the Clash. People don't know who he is. And it's so endearing. And this came out posthumously. And I recently got it on British TV and had it at a film festival. And that is because in 1918, his widow had gone through the archive and put together a box set of rare and unreleased material called Joe Strummer 001. And that is phenomenal, right? It's phenomenal.
001, that's a play on words for the 101s, because his early bands, is that the idea?
There's that, but it's also the first one. There may be a 002 yet.
Oh, all right.
If widow, bless her, can really face, Cinder, can face doing more of it. She researched endless stuff, right? And all that to be remastered and some had to be mixed. And it's a whole collection, because Joe Strummer did a ton of music.
Oh, that was my question. We're going to play a track right now of your picking, and then I want to ask you something about him, and then we'll move on to new bands. So what track do you want to play from that right now from Joe Strummer?
Well,
I'll
tell you what,
about it?
There's a track, right, called Before We Go Forwards, which is only on the 7-inch in the vinyl box set. Right? It's rare to get.
Okay.
But I've got it as a digital file for you.
Ooh, let's play it. All right, that was Joe Strummer. Before we go forward, here at Sitting with Gianluca on Radio Free Brooklyn and ResonanceFM.com. Resonance FM 104.4. Actually, we are doing this, in fact, from Resonance FM's Resonance FM's HQ here in South London. And sitting with me today is Dylan White. Yay, record plugger, publicist. Oh, I don't know, man about town with the music, with anything behind the curtain or the backstage, or however you want to put it in the music business. Veteran. Thank you, Dylan, for sitting with me. This is great.
Thank you for the complimentary introduction.
Yeah.
That you constantly be doing.
2 minutes maybe on talking about Joe Strummer's writing, actually, because you know pretty much all his stuff. Was he a very prolific writer?
Oh, yeah. Now, here's the thing then. So Joe Strummer, outside of the Clash, wrote like crazy. Now, back to this box set. You can get a CD version for, I don't know, £10, all right? Very cheap, right? But what you need is the A4 book, which is about £35, right? It'll be the best £35 you spend, because in it, you get pages and pages of his lyrics, all written out. And there's things like a cigarette packet with chords written on it.
Oh, right.
It's all the stuff, right? The back stuff of how he created his music.
It seemed that Joe Strummer just wrote all the time, that there's probably dozens and dozens and dozens of songs that were never even made it to a recording studio.
Well, there are, and they're sitting in a barn in Somerset on cassette. Because he recorded it all in demos, and it's sitting there, and it requires Lucinda to have the strength to go through and do more. Yeah, but he had tracks on films, all sorts. He acts in films. There's all sorts of scattered stuff, and this box set brings that together. Some of it, and there's more.
So, all right, well, we're running out of time, Dylan. So, I'm going to ask you then to pick, I don't know, a couple or three up-and-coming bands, and we can play out with those, actually. Maybe you can tell us why you like them. I should say, though, just before I let you do that, I'm going to let you have the final, because you're also a radio host. Are you still a radio host? You've been on the radio.
I am. Yeah. I do a punk show. On Soho Radio with Gary Crowley. That's a very on and off.
Okay, it doesn't matter. How do we find out?
Well, I let people know on my Facebook page. But I did a brilliant Joe Strummer show.
Yes, you did.
With Lucinda, the widow.
Yeah,
that was my finest 2 hours of radio. I mean, I was nervous. I'll tell you this. I'm sitting there with his widow, and what was really good, she played music that they listened to together. She brought in the tracks that they listened to together at home, right, or holiday, and I put in the songs from the box set. So I'm Mr. Raving Enthusiastic, Cockney white boy, right? And she's kind of very eloquently spoken, calm lady, right? It worked a treat. It was just, I was so pleased with it.
If you have just tuned in, you've just missed Sitting with Gianluca here at Radio Free Brooklyn, and also at Resonance FM 104.4 on your radio dial. This is part of Gianluca's rambling around, bouncing around the world. We are recording this actually in the Resonance FM studio in South London. I want to thank you for listening to me. If you want to get in touch with me, and I hope you do, my Instagram is sittingwithgt. My email is sittingwith@radiofreebrooklyn.com. Sitting with me has been Dylan White, publicist, record plugger, label owner, former manager. I've probably left something. Radio host. Sometimes. Off and on.
It was like all these things. Basically, we've all got to earn a living.
Yeah.
So within the music, within the wheels of the wheels, whether I'm managing, promoting, whatever, it's all part of the same system.
Yeah.
Of the love of music.
Yeah.
And I did think this was going to be a great chance for me to get to play some of the bands that I'm currently working. But you've thrown that out the window, and we've just played. There's no script here at all. I'd worked out a script, right? And you go, no, and we played what has come up in conversation, right?
Absolutely.
Which I can see now why you do this, right?
Yeah.
But I would say
I want to hear some new guys.
Things to check out, right?
Yeah.
There's a new artist, right? Now then, older now, and I tend to work with older new artists or artists coming back.
Oh,
right.
all right.
I'm not lying at all here to say that I'm working with 20-year-old kids making their first record, right? But there's an artist called Officer.
Okay.
You want to check him out? Artist called Officer.
Oh, tell us about Officer. We'll play
Officer
something of this.
is a new guy. He's got his second album.
All right.
And well, you have to hear it. You know, I don't like big descriptive of the music.
No, we're going to play something.
Officer,
we're
right,
playing
play
a track.
Officer.
Yeah, what track are we playing?
Heavening, watch our bottles.
Heavening,
watch our bottles.
Heavening, watch our bottles.
And play
I
that.
like that.
There's also an artist that has come back called Doctors of Madness. You could interview him. I tell you, he's a right character. Richard Strange. Doctors of Madness were around in the 70s.
I know that name, Richard Strange.
Yeah. Well, their claim to fame was they let the Sex Pistols support them, and this was like on their third album, and they realised their career was over because they were a bit older, right? And they hadn't made it in the sort of Roxy Music way, right? So they stopped, and he's done a multitude of other things. Anyway, he decided to do another album, so they got back together, got John Leckie to produce it, right? And have done this album. And on Doctors of Madness, you should play So Many Ways to Hurt You.
All right.
So Many Ways to Hurt You by Doctors of Madness. And I reckon, and you should interview Richard Strange. He is a character and a half.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah. There's another guy, right? An older, kind of, again, an older market. He's called himself My Glass World. Mm-hmm. And he's got a beautiful velvet voice, and he plays the piano, right? Okay, it's called Jamie, his name, really, right? But he's My Glass World. He's got a new album coming out.
All right.
My Glass World. You can play a track from the previous album, right? This is it. Guess who played it on the radio, right? Got a song called Paper Desk. It's played by Guy Garvey from Elbow. He has a show. Now he played it, and that gave us yes, we're played by Guy Garvey.
Fantastic.
So the next thing, he's got to try and get My Glass World to support Elbow on tour. So one thing leads to another. That's the theory. You chase it.
Well, a big thank you, Dylan, for sitting with me. You've been really good about this whole thing.
Thank you.
Assemble an arc from these moments with you, 'cause I'm nothing proof. Under white men give what you can't keep still. I dare you sparkle far, where there's no words to share my love. I dare you see the stars, where we can kiss under the water. I dare we come apart. I burn my heart right up to the roof like the dead poets do, 'cause all my crimes are just for you. I'll tear my heart right through its own floor and pour you some more. Watch our bottles dance the water. I'll burn my heart
heart right up to the roof, like the dead poets do. 'Cause all my crimes are just for you. I'll tear my heart right through its own floor and pour you some more. Watch our boils dance the water. Watch our boils dance the
So this is what they mean when they talk about freedom. This is what they mean when they talk about black. They've got so many ways to hurt you now. You will never, never want to look back. They can hit you where it hurts. They can shove you in the dirt. They can blacken your name with one word. They can erase every one of your achievements. Now make you believe that they never, 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 never occurred. So this is what they mean when they talk about justice. As silence is put upon trial. This is what they mean when they talk about having it all. And they go and lose your fire. They've got so many ways to hurt you now. So many ways to make you think you've gone mad. So many ways to make you feel grateful now for the freedoms that you never, 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 never had. So many ways, so many ways, so many ways to hurt you now. So many ways, so many ways, so many ways to hurt you now. So many ways, so many ways, so many ways to hurt you now. So many ways, so many ways, so many ways to hurt you now. So this is what they mean when they talk about beauty and how the sound of a kick in the head. This is what they mean when they talk about honesty as the corpse of the truth lies dead. They've got so many ways to hurt you now, so many ways to make you scream, so many ways to kill off their enemies that they could never, 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 never
Sitting at my paper desk, reading more but eating less. Killing time with pencils sharpened, nothing doing, nothing happened. Practicing at looking blank, don't know who I need to thank. Thinking more but doing less, purposeful but purposeless. Lounging around the house again, grooming cats and watching rain. Sentient but just not there, not sure if you really care. People feeding me online, ate the news, what did I find? Every picture told the story of office dreams or morning glory. There's a whole wide world inside, a whole wide world. There's a whole wide world to hide. There's a whole wide world inside, a whole wide world. There's a whole wide world to hide. I've been reading all my stars, abandoned Libra, feeling worse. Failing every simple test, no news here, now I'm a mess. It's time to leave the house, through the park or roundabout. What's the future state of bliss on a day like this? I'm looking at my paper desk, paper words, they suit me best. There's no answer to my questions, and no cure to mention.